Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram. To our consult.
Would you take the mic?
Thank you. Welcome to our Concelebration of the Spirit this evening. My name is Guru Priya Sanchez, and I'm one of several students of Alakananda's, and it is truly my pleasure to welcome you here tonight, and also to inform you a little bit about what's going to happen this evening. First of all, if anyone needs the restroom, if you go straight out through the double doors, it's your first left. And we would ask you to please silence your cell phones if you have them, in case you've forgotten. And we start out by not only welcoming you, but also welcoming and thanking the musicians for their beautiful contributions. They're singing. Sadananda Ji, the main vocal man, Sadananda Ji, and our good friend Jagadish on drums, Ram Prasad on the flute, Tara Priya on vocals, Godavari also on vocals,
Seva on oud.
And Seva on oud. It's hard for me to get it all because Seva's...
And the band's name is Alandi Mandali.
Thank you so much.
Mandali is Sanskrit for band.
Oh, thank you, Alandi Mandali. And what's more, we have some CDs available on the back table, which we will invite you to visit after the program this evening. So this evening, as you have probably read about or heard about or something like that, is an opportunity for us to come together and to celebrate and to enjoy one another's company, and also specifically to hear the special heartfelt wisdom of both of these wonderful local teachers. We're so lucky to have them in our local community. Reb Zalman, perhaps single-handedly, has created a paradigm shift in Judaism. He is the founding father of the Jewish Renewal Movement, and he is also professor emeritus at Temple University and a former professor of the Naropa University, where he taught world wisdom traditions. He is also a great lover of and the mentor of Alakananda Ma. And for that reason, he has agreed to be here with us tonight to help share the good news that Alakananda is here and has so many wonderful teachings and bits of wisdom, love, and brilliant Ayurveda services to share with the world. And so we'll maybe perhaps speak a little about her. She'll bow her head because that's how she gets very shy at this part of the program. Alaknanda, from a very early age, about 8 years old, consciously wanted to be helping and serving others. And eventually, as she grew up, that took the form of studying medicine and becoming a Western physician in London. And that didn't entirely scratch her itch. She became quite fascinated with India. And so she went on to study in India, and where she met her guru, who's not wanting me to say his name in the microphone at the moment, which is okay. Her guru, Raghudas Maharaj, who's pictured back here to my left.
Oh, it was Davy.
Oh, Davy. Oh, and also thanks to Davy for helping with so many tasks tonight. You all may have received a program from Davy. Thank you, sweetheart. You did a beautiful job. Are we on?
Yeah.
Thank you. And also where Alaknanda met her Ayurveda master, Dr. Vasant Ladd, who some of you may know about, who's located in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Absolutely a modern-day genius in the field of Ayurveda. And her life partner, Sadhanandaji, who you have heard is a wonderful musician and a very, very heart-centered human being. Lovely, lovely friend. Alaknanda spent 13 years in India. And before she went, she actually had taken... No. Is that correct? 5. Okay, so 13 minus 8 years in India. It was close to 13 in relative past terms.
In quality, there were.
In quality, thank you very much, Reb Selman. Sorry about that. In any case, India affected her very deeply. Just a show of hands, has anyone here read either of her 2 autobiographical books, Pilgrimage to the Mother or The Rainbow Bridge? That tells the whole story. They're beautiful, wonderful, easy to read, fascinating books. We also have those available. So in any case, she had taken novitiate vows as a Cistercian nun before she went on to India. So she grew up in a Jewish family. She had some formal study in the Catholic tradition. She went on and was deeply affected by yoga and Hinduism in India, where she studied for many years and practiced and continues today. In fact, she has also had several empowerments in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, has studied that tradition very deeply, and has also been initiated into a Sufi order. And then there are other paths that she's familiar with. And that's just her spiritual adventures. Beyond that, she went on to study Ayurveda very deeply. So she's a Western physician and she's an Ayurveda practitioner, blending those 2 traditions beautifully. She also makes flower essences. She's also a poet. And I know I'm missing some things. Are you embarrassed enough, aren't you? She's getting there. She's a lovely...
That's only the outer part.
Thank you. And that's only the outer part. So tonight we'll just have the opportunity to hear both of these wonderful teachers speak from their heart, tell some stories. We'll also have question and answer later in the evening. And we'll finish up the evening with a darshan line if you'd like to come up and have a little bit more of a personal interaction. So I welcome you. Is there anything else? Thank you.
Gananam ta Ganapatim Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Uppamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Annaha Sranavanuti Siddhasadhanam Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Kote Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarva Kareshu Sarvada Siddhi Buddhi Shakti Sahita Shriman Mahaganadipataye Namo Namaha Nirvignam Kuru. Om I Saraswati Devyai Namaha. Om Aim Srim Hrim Saraswati Devyai Namaha. Om Aim Srim Hrim Saraswati Devyai Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnur Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Seeing each one of you inseparable from baby Krishna, I come to you as your loving mother and most humble devotee. Welcome, my baby gods. Special welcome to my Rebbe.
Hey, Shalom Aleichem. Are we on? Yes, we are on. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here together to draw in and out Divine Mother into Alaknanda. You see, when someone brings in a statue into a temple in India, it isn't complete unless one draws first in that presence. Ramakrishna would do that from time to time to make sure that the presence, that the statue was inhabited. It's the same way with people, that when people are empowered, and we don't need to do that for Alaknanda Ma because she received it from so many sources already. But there's a but. Ein Navi be'iro. There is no prophet in his own city. And she has been here like the beating heart of spirit for Boulder. And it needs that recognition. When that recognition comes, it is not what we would call an ordination from above, because that has already happened. She has received that. But there needs to be a calling into her from below. So I'm asking you, would you like to have a log-on to Divine Mother through this person?
Yes.
If the answer is yes, let's hear a big Om. There's a wonderful Catholic hymn, you must remember it from before. Veni Creator Spiritus, right? And I want to say, Veni Mater Mundi. Veni Mater Mundi. Mother of the world, come in, take up your residence in that person, so that blessing would come to all of us here, and that the power of healing that she has already through her studies and through her soul becomes multiplied in many, many ways. There is something in the way in which a person approaches someone for darshan. The word has to do with to see. But it's not only to see, but to be seen. when someone who is your spiritual teacher looks at you and you know you've really been seen. You don't have to hide. You can come out from your shell at that point, because, as we would say in Yiddish, the teacher forgins you. You forgin. Forgin is a wonderful word. It means grants you total blessed willingness for you to achieve your realization and to fulfill your purpose in this incarnation. And when you are seen in such a way, that does wonderful things for us, because things that have fallen asleep in us wake up again. And we remember. There's this basic story that's found in Gnostic writing about the king's son who comes down into the world because he has to bring back the pearl beyond any price. However, there's a dragon watching that pearl. So he has to go down into Egypt. That's how the story goes. It was written in Aramaic and in the same neighborhood as the Gnostic Gospels. And there he goes to Egypt and begins to eat the food of the people there and forgets completely where he came from. So the king, seeing that the son is lost in that country and he will not be able to bring back the pearl beyond any price, but worse than that the king would not see him again and be able to love him. So he sends down a friend, and that friend wakes up the king's son again, and together they approach and disarm the dragon and bring back the pearl beyond any price. It's a wonderful story, and if you hear that story, you can recognize in yourself how many times you have woken up and fallen asleep again. Hermann Hesse, in his book, The Journey to the East, describes that so beautifully, about a person who wants to join the people who are making that great journey, but then forgets and gets sidetracked, and finally he finds him again. So here is a waker-upper for us, and now that you have acknowledged her in this way, we want to bring in for her that particular power, that energy of Sophia, of the wisdom. The first contact I had with Sadananda and Alakananda, gee, I love this devotee, Sadananda. When he gets hot, you know, hearts warm up and you sprout your wings again and you can fly. I came in busy from a busy day, but he got me going. So, bless you. So, when they first came to see me, they brought me regards from their teacher, Sheikh Noor, who had, before he passed on, told them that they would come to see me. And it was just wonderful to get to know them. And just as it says, it's also in the Gnostic scriptures, in the Quran, it's in the book of Proverbs, I was a hidden treasure and I wanted to become known. And I had to sort of schrei on her, it is time that you should become known. That ashram in which she isn't like many of the others who see themselves as being sort of on top of the situation and presiding and everybody coming to serve them. Last time I was there, who was serving them the food? Alakananda Ma. I want to sing to you, Ayid Shema, you know? You have that wonderful nurturing way. So I have more stories to tell and things to say, but it's your turn now.
Thank you, Reb Zalman. when Reb Zalman started telling me that I should do this and I should come out and teach, I felt he must be wrong, because I believed that a hidden life is best. My guru really totally led a hidden life. He had almost no devotees, given what a great being he was, maybe about 100. And eventually, after some weeks or months of reflecting on this, I just realized maybe it's better to do what your teacher says than to have an idea that it should be a certain way. It's been a journey for me, because we have, when I think of the name of Ma, I think of someone like Anandamayi Ma. I think of someone who is completely realized, enlightened from birth, and never had to experience a human process. So it was puzzling for me. Like I said on the radio show the other day, every day I pray to my guru, make me a Ma worthy of the name, may I serve beings tirelessly with love. But I've come to understand, and this is true for each and every one of us, there is a shift in the paradigm, and it is a time when another kind of teacher has to come forth, and this is the mother's way. There will always be a place for and a need for those great and fully enlightened beings whose devotees many of us in this room are. But it is a time for another kind of teacher. People like Sadananda and Reb Zalman and myself, people who know what a human process is and stand in the frailty of human process. Because that's what we have to share. And because the paradigm is shifting, we've been through 4,000 years of masculine ages. The age of Aries, which was the age of the father, the age of warfare, the age of law, and then coming into the age of Pisces, the age of the sun, the age of philosophy and rituals and great devotion, but also an age of immense duality, black and white, heaven and hell, God and the devil. The masculine comes with the sword of Mars and separates and divides, and that was very needed at the time. None of us would want to go back to when we had to sacrifice our children, which is what happened in the age of the Great Mother, because there was no differentiation. But now we are coming into a different time. Like the musical Hair used to say, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Reb Zalman has taught many times in classes that I took about these paradigms too. The age of Aquarius is the age of the daughter. So again, it's a feminine age, but what's special about the daughter is that every little girl, isn't this true, sweetie pie? Every little girl loves her mommy and her daddy. So what's special about the age of the daughter is that there is no rejection of the masculine. It's not about bringing back matriarchy. It's not about women being more important. But it's an age where diversity is welcomed. It's an age where the planet now is seen as a whole. Before, we would be born and die in one tradition only, when we wouldn't have any opportunity to interact with another one, or if we had people among us, like the Jews when they lived in Europe, who were different, we would fear them because they were different. When I became a Catholic at the age of 17 in my Protestant town, it caused so much shockwaves. I was like, hey, I haven't become a drug addict or something. It was about the same kind of shockwave that I had joined another religion, even though from our standpoint, we would see both of these as Christian, the Christian religion. Things were very different back then, and now the world is changing so that we do have access to all these traditions. And we do have access to another way of seeing things. If there is an avatar who is to come, if there is a Mashiach who is to come, it's my belief that this is all of us. This is not going to be one person. So that's why there's a need for these kind of teachers today. Because like Milarepa said to his disciples at the end of his life, Milarepa, the great Tibetan yogi, said, there's one thing I don't want you to do. I don't want you to say, Milarepa did this because he was special and he was different and he was greater than us and he did it but we can't. I don't want you to say that. Remember, I was a black magician. I killed all my enemies. I was a very bad person in this life. And if you want to know how I did this, look. And he turned around and he lifted up his robe and showed the calluses where he had been sitting. He said, I did this because I practiced, because I meditated. So that's the importance of the new kind of teacher in the age of the mother. It's a sense that we're going from a heteronymous situation, a situation where someone else is telling us. Reverend Mother Superior is going to tell us, or the Guru is going to tell us, or Father is going to tell us. Someone's going to tell us, because they're above us, to a situation where there is this sense of equality that comes in the age of Aquarius. It's an age of equality, of altruism, of compassion. It was said in the Hebrew prophets that a time is coming when brother will not need to teach brother, know the Lord. They shall all know me, from the greatest to the least. And your sons and daughters will, your old men will prophesy and your young women will dream dreams, or something like that. I don't remember, something like that. This is what is coming. So we are here, Sadananda and Reb Zalman and I are all in this together, and I'm sure many other great teachers or teachers-to-be in this room who have the opportunity to be here and not to say, well, I'm really great and you should follow me. Come, let's learn together how to bring in this new paradigm. It's time to bring back the feminine. Shall I go on speaking, or shall we go into dialogue?
All right. What happened to that? I want to tell a story. You'll have a story like that, I'm sure. It has to do with how holy do you have to be in order to serve. So, Lord Krishna is walking down the street, and along comes a man and going, and then he says, Lord Krishna, who's your best devotee in the world? Am I the best? He says, you're the second best. Who's the real best? So he tells him and where the guy lives, and so he decides now he's going to try and vie with him as to who is going to be the better one, and learn what does he do that I'm not doing when I'm going all the time around. So he comes and he watches him and doesn't see anything special. He gets up in the morning and says, good morning, Lord Krishna. And then does what he's doing a whole day and goes to sleep at night and says, good night, Lord Krishna. For that he is the best devotee. He comes back and complains to Lord Krishna, hey, what's going on? Here is where I'm constantly in devotion and this person isn't doing all that kind of stuff, and you say he's the better one. He says, I'll show you. Fill up a container with water to the brim. And I want you to go out very quickly and walk around 7 times around the house and don't spill a drop. Now go ahead and do that. He does it. And he goes around the house and watches. He shouldn't spill a drop. And finally comes back and says, yes, Lord Krishna, I've done it. He says, how many times did you sing my praises? He says, I was so busy doing what you told me. I think
Jai Ma
Yashakaya Reb Sadananda. Thank you. If you would be able to bottle the feeling that we just had and take it with you so that in the middle of the day you would be able to uncork it and take some of that. Would you like to do that? And, you know, when you were talking about the shards of the mother's, the clay figure of the mother, and that our job is to find those shards and put them together in a good way for us for today. It was so exactly what the Kabbalists are saying about the broken vessels and the shards that we have to bring together. When you were saying we have to look at each other as murtis, I don't know if you've ever seen how a pujari dresses and feeds a murti, you know. There is that sense of, I know that some people will say idolatry, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and those figures, and yeah, shame on you, and so on and so forth. But if you go with the feeling that the person has who does that devotional element, and if you were to ask, do you mean those figures, they would say no, but what they represent. So if you can say to somebody, I see in you a murti of God, another way of saying that I see in you the Tselem Elokim, the image of God, as we find it in the Bible. So you see, we have so much that is shared in that. What is so wonderful, and I was saying this to the Dalai Lama and to his monks when we were in Dharamsala, if you want to know how to survive in the diaspora, you'll have to have people in each family who will be the pujaris. That's to say, the people who are going to conduct the worship. wouldn't each one of you like to have at home a Sadanandala, you know? So that in the morning you could get into that space, and before you go to sleep you could get into that space, and so on. How do we do this? We do this with those small things that we do that are acts of piety. Again, when I was in Dharamsala, there was this nun who was assigned to be our attendant, you know, for the guests who had come for that session. And before we woke up, she was already outside of the house and was reciting and chanting and doing her puja in this way. When Pope Benedict was named, I sent him a mazel tov. For, you know, you're Pope now, you know. And so mazel tov. Now I'm saying this not as a joke, because if you understand that for so many people, this one who was known as the Rottweiler of the church, you know, has now become the Holy Father. And when he gets into that place where he's offering a blessing Orbi et Urbi to the whole world and to the city, he's transformed. So I wrote to him this mazel tov, and I made a suggestion that he and his household should begin to reinvest time and energy in those small things of piety that people had done in their homes before. Before you eat, you know, is there something special that you do before you eat? After you have eaten, is there something special that you've done after you've eaten? You go to the bathroom, you come out, you wash your hands, and you make a blessing. Thank you, God, for making my body work, you know? It's that awareness that even when you strap into your seatbelt, you're able to say, blessed are you, God, who has written in the Bible that we should do acts of safety for ourselves. Asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat ma'akeh. So you see that these are the little things that are now coming in that place where mother is in the house. And regardless whether you are, you know, at one point, who would have thought of a house husband? But this is happening now. We always were sure that the rabbi is a man and his wife is a rebbitzin. But with a smile we would call Reb Tirza's husband the Hubbitzin. Because in a way, you know, the way in which we are dealing with those gender roles now is shifting. It is much more acceptable for males to allow the feminine in them to come out. And it's also very important to see animus, the more masculine thing, to come into women who are taking the power that is theirs. So what would be the kind of thing that you would do at home? And would you do a chant? You see what chanting does for you. Would you do a chant, and what would your chant be? Everyone was chanting along, and you know, I wish I could see auras. I can't see auras. But from the place in which I can't see auras, I'm able to see something. You were all lit up, you know? You were all lit up, and if a soul doesn't get from time to time the chance to light up, you know, then it feels there's a certain kind of hunger, something is not met in us that we need to meet. If we're going to do another chant, I'd like to have us each think of people who need healing. You know, there are a number of people on the list that I'm praying for at this time. And at this next chant, along with the chant, would you recite the names of the people who need healing at this point and bring down healing for them? Have you got a good chant for that?
So we'll chant the healing mantra, Mahamrityunjaya mantra, the great mantra which is victorious over death. And for those of you that don't know the mantra, while we're chanting it, you can also be naming those people you want to pray for. The meaning of the mantra is we're calling upon Shiva, the one who has three eyes, the masculine, feminine, and transcendent view. We're calling upon our inner divine essence, the one who is the fragrant increaser of nourishment. That's not only the one that brings us food, but the one who brings the nourishment of the bliss molecules in the brain. And we're saying, I feel that I am bound to death as a cucumber to a vine. But when the cucumber becomes ripe, the vine falls away. Like that, liberate me from the bonds of death, but never separate me from immortality, my true nature.
Okay. I chant to that.
मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् 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 मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ तत्सत्.
And that last chant, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, this is Divine Mother's prayer. May all beings be happy. May everyone everywhere be happy. The best way to worship Divine Mother is to chant this in Sanskrit if you like, in English if you like, Hebrew version. All beings be happy. Yeah.
And Ya Shafi,
Ya Shafi.
Ya Mafi, Ya Kafi. That's how you would say it in Arabic for healing. Well, you offered to do a row of people who would come for darshan. So I would like to get darshan first. I'm getting a little older and I'm getting tired for the day, so I'll take my darshan and then... So where are your feet? Gotta stick them out. מי שברך אמותינו צריך כרך לבדיה, כי תברך את הלקנון דמה, בהו שאנחנו מבורכים אותך, ויתחזק וישמור וישמרהו ויצילהו מכל צור צוק הנגר מחלו, וישלח ברוכה והצלחה בכל מעשי ידיה, ותזכה לעורר נשמס להאם הקדושה, ונאמר Amen. Line up.
Did you want to take some questions, Mo? Technically, we have 15 minutes before darshan. I don't know if you want to take questions. Is that okay? So if anybody